Good afternoon once again, my dear sisters and brothers. So today we have heard a quiet, complicated, and difficult gospel to understand, especially if we try to understand this from the standpoint of a human being. Why? Because no matter how much we try to be good, justice for us is more about what we can receive, what we can enjoy, and what we actually deserve. But God's justice is quite different, which I will be talking a little later. Before that, I would like to tell you a story. Last night, a friend sent me a message. She told me, "Father, we have a problem here at the office because one of our companions was just newly hired, but she requested if she could join our outing." No. And one of the officers said, "Father, you know what? I think it's not fair to let her join because she just came in and there's no budget for her." But I told her, "What do you usually do with those people who work with you?" And she said, "Father, we bring them with us." And I told her, "If you don't know the answer to your question, read the gospel of today." I really told her, actually, this is a true story. I told her, read the gospel of today so that you will know what to do with your office mate who was just hired. And you will know the answer in a Christian way. My dear sisters and brothers, most of us would complain if we find things to be unjust. But again, as I have told you, injustice for us most of the time favors us. Injustice for us most of the time tends to go our way. But looking at the story of Jesus makes the story more problematic. Why? Because the landowner in the gospel today, as Jesus was talking about hiring laborers on the first hour of day's work, probably 8 o'clock. No? The landowner hired people at 8 o'clock. They started working with the agreement that they would be given a day's wage. But at noontime, the landowner still found people to be not working and not hired. So he hired them with the same agreement. They started working at noon and everything went well. Until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the landowner still found some people who were not hired. So he asked them, "Work in my vineyard," until probably 5 or 6 o'clock came, and then wages were about to be given. This is the tricky part. The last ones who came in, probably 3 o'clock, were given exactly the same amount of wage as those who came in at 8 o'clock. If you were the ones who came at 8 o'clock, how would you feel? Perhaps you would say the same thing. You would be envious because the landowner was generous enough to give them what's due to them. Perhaps some of you would say, "That's, I think, injustice, Father, because we worked harder than them." But if you would notice and if you remember, although they worked harder and longer, what was promised to them was a day's wage. My dear sisters and brothers, the justice of God is quite different from our way of looking at justice. Because the justice of God is a justice for all, no? It gives regardless of whoever came first or last. That's why when you know and when you think that you are superior than the others, when you know and you think that you are better than the others, don't feel envious when God gives the same grace and blessings to the people around you, especially at the office, especially at home. It may sound difficult to understand, but that's the justice of God. Secondly, God's justice is something which gives everyone a fair share of what is enough. In the case of the gospel, what was enough was a day's wage. Why would the landowner give a day's wage even to those who came in late? Because the landowner knows that if he would give a smaller amount, it would not give them enough food to eat for the rest of the day. Because God knows to give, no, what is essential and what is needed. Lastly, my dear sisters and brothers, what I would like you know, anything received beyond a need is a bonus. And lastly, we cannot really complain, no, in the general sense of what we have received. Even in the life that we have, we should not complain. Why? Because that's a gift. Do you think you have a right to complain when somebody gives you? No, you should not complain. No, just a few days ago, we were giving cakes from a pastry company. A lot of cakes actually were distributed, and some were complaining, "Why did it come late? Why did you give us only a few boxes?" And I told them, "You know what? That was given, and I think to complain is not a right thing for you to do." That's why, instead of becoming envious and instead of complaining, what we should do is to be grateful. No, at the beginning of the Mass, I told you, you must be grateful and thankful to God for whatever gifts you have received, be it the smallest, the littlest, the simplest of gifts that you have received, because every gift deserves a thanksgiving and an act of gratitude. Kaya, my dear brothers and sisters, I hope that as you go home later on, go back to your work, try to look at the many gifts that God has given you, even the smallest ones, and tell God, "Lord, for a long time, I did not notice that I have this gift because I was longing for something bigger. But now I realize that I have plenty. You have given me so many gifts that I have to be grateful for whatever you have done to me."